with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Oh, that seems a little hot. So let me turn that down a little bit so I'm not yelling in your ear this Saturday morning. Jim, good morning. How you doing? Hopefully things are well over there on the East Coast. Is it as cold as it is here in the Midwest? It's, I don't know, it's like 19 degrees last night. So I'm not quite ready for the cold yet. But anyhow, hope everybody is doing great. So let's get us kicked off here today. So first and foremost, I don't know, we got to come up with a name for our little group of people that tune in every week here. I don't know if you caught the Two Regular Guys podcast yesterday morning with Allison Prince. So if you go over to facebook.com/Two Regular Guys, you can see our interview with Allison, and she is super dynamic, and it was awesome to talk to her and get a lot of great information from her. And I'm still pumped. I'm still pumped up about growing and building and doing. And she's got her group called the Clan, the Because I Can Clan. So excited about that. Rich, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Looking forward to talking a little planning here today. So anyways, if you guys, Jim, if you missed it yesterday, totally worth a rewatch. You can go back and check it out and just scroll to the part where we had Allison on if you got limited time, but she was fantastic. It was great 30-40 minutes of information there. So check that out. All right, guys. Well, let's start talking a little bit about planning here today. I know there's still a ton of business left to be done in 2018. In fact, many of us, depending on what world you're in, that's the holiday gift giving season. And so there's probably going to be, there's a reason they call it Black Friday, not because of being negative or the Black Death or anything like that. It's called Black Friday because that was typically the day where people had sales after Thanksgiving, and it put their business into the black, into profitability. So still a lot left to be done in 2018, but I think it's also important that we start thinking about 2019. And, because if your world's anything like mine, you're going to go blink. What? It's Happy New Year. So, that is something we got to deal with here, that it's going to be quick. It's going to be fast. Plus, I think thinking about 2019 might also help you be a little more efficient, a little more profitable in the remainder of 2018. So what I would suggest is, taking some time around Thanksgiving, maybe skip the waiting in line at Walmart for the special Black Friday deals, and instead spend some time, maybe that week between the 25th and New Year's. Take some time between now and the end of the year, and let's really start thinking about 2019 and get some planning going. So I know that it's going to be busy, crazy the rest of the holidays for most of us, but it is important to find the time to do this. So let's actually talk about what we need to be talking about with planning here. Hopefully you've got a business plan that gives you the framework for your planning, for your annual planning sessions. But if not, I can help you. Just wait till the end. I'll give you a little information about a series we did, totally free stuff. So we'll talk about that at the end. But before we get there, I want to share two things with you that I think are really important for your planning in 2019 here. So first thing that I think is important is your data. I don't know if you've ever heard the cliche, you manage what you measure. But it's a cliche for a reason, because it's true and it's been proven over and over again. So as a company, as people, if we have a way to measure it and take a look at what's happening with the numbers, we tend to manage those things more than the things where it's just kind of like, I think it's going well. So you have to have good data to make sure that your business is running efficiently. Yes, that gut feel, that instinct, totally important. And there's a reason that you're the business owner, because you have that gut instinct. You have that ability to kind of feel things and understand those things within your business. But you also need to back up those gut feelings with some data. Your business is probably your livelihood. Trademarked by Jimmy Lamb. I love it. Jim, sorry, I missed that comment earlier. Totally worthwhile there. Trademarked by Jimmy Lamb. Perfect. So your business is probably your livelihood. So just relying on your gut, man, that'd be a really tough place to be. I think I'd have a hard time sleeping at night if I was like, okay, I'm just running my business on gut instinct. So I need to have some data to back up those gut instincts and make sure that my gut's in line with what reality is. So data is very important. Now, with that being said, each company is going to have some very different, what they call KPIs, which is a key performance indicator, key data points that are important to their business. So something that might be important to me probably isn't important to you, and vice versa. Obviously profit and all this other stuff, but there are pieces within all of that are important to your business. So during our planning, I think this is a really great time to make sure that you're managing and measuring the right things and that your data is accurate. And then the other important key here is that you want to start with the data. A lot of times people get into a strategy, a planning session, looking at, okay, what are the strategies we need to go forward with in 2019? What are our projections, all this other stuff. We set those things in place, and then we say, okay, how do we measure that? Well, the problem with that thinking is if you start with your strategy or your projections, you tend to then go find data that is going to back up your strategy, prove your strategy right, prove those projections right. And unfortunately, that's the wrong way of thinking. If you're just trying to find some data set to place blame on when you fail, that's totally up to you. But for me, I want to start with the data, figure out what data is important to me, and then let that data tell us what strategies, projections we need to be prepared for as we come into 2019. So again, data, getting that data tight, very important for the success of our companies. Now, you hear me talking all these things and you're like, KPIs, data, measuring, strategies, projections. That sounds like a bunch of corporate jargon to me. That sounds like something. I'm a small business. I don't have those things. Well, you do have those things. You probably just call them something different. So this is actually a great technique for every size company. For a company like myself, where it's my wife and I only, or a big, huge Amazon type company. So this kind of strategy works, and it's very simple. So first, we want to figure out. Well, let me back up a little bit here. So like I said, it's very simple if we do these key things here. So first thing we want to do, and again, want to just try to simplify this as much as possible. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to just give some examples of things that came to my mind. I'm happy to interact, to talk with you guys offline or during this, if you'd like, of things that stand out for your business. So again, feel free to interact, messages on here, shoot me an email, whatever you need to do. So first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what our biggest weakness has been in 2018. Or if you're new a business and you haven't even started out, you're going to have to be a little more creative and understand what your biggest weaknesses could have been. Maybe you didn't have the best equipment, or maybe you're not able to buy the biggest equipment. So those are going to be some of your challenges, your weaknesses. So once you've picked those weaknesses, then you want to go and pick data points that could help show improvement. Not that's going to prove you right. You want to find stuff that, if it goes up or down, up means you're improving, down means you've gotten worse at that particular weakness. So let me give you an example. Maybe your weakness in 2018 was Jim has a perfect one here, time. His weakness is just not enough time. So Jim's going to want to manage and measure and understand, take a full week and track every single thing that you did during that week, and then figure out what things you need to cut out. and go from that. So let me go into my example, and then we can try to go back to that too, Jim, if we want to clarify that more. But I definitely think that's great info. So spoiled goods, let's say spoiled goods was really killing your profitability. Spoiled goods meaning you are making something for your customer and you are supposed to deliver 10 to them, and it took you 20 to get 10 good ones. So that would be spoiled goods, things that you can't use because you screwed them up when you were pressing or whatever. So the key is with that data, because we can track that, we can understand, okay, it took me 20 to get 10 out the door. But within that data, we have to make it even tighter. We have to categorize that data. So if it took me 20 to make 10, of those 10 that were screwed up, of those spoiled goods, why were they screwed up? Was it something with the product? Was my press not working right? Was my operator not paying attention? User error, printer error. I had banding in my prints if I'm a sublimation printer, whatever the case may be, categorize those things down to as fine of a point as you can. Now, here's the key. Have everybody be a part of this categorization, but make sure it's extremely clear that you're categorizing this not to place blame or fault. You're categorizing this to improve your processes, to have everybody be part of improving the processes. Because trust me, your operators don't want to put out crap product. And if they do, you probably don't want them to be your operators. Most normal operators want to do the best they can do. Maybe sometimes they just don't have the tools or the training to be able to do that. So we want to categorize these things down into the groups and then look at those categories. Which category is causing you the most grief? Is it maybe your heat press? Is it maybe not enough training or whatever the case may be? And then start implementing those changes and see how those numbers affect your spoiled goods. If you've got to deliver 10, hopefully you're only spoiling 1 or 2, not 10 more, so that's first. We want to start with the weakness, and that's always a great place to start. We don't want to be negative necessarily, but if we can improve things on our side first, then we're in good shape. The second thing we want to do in this process is we want to figure out what our biggest successes were, what thing happened during the course of 2018 that equaled our goal the most. What thing? So maybe, as an example of something that worked out great for you, was you got a ton of new customers. You brought in way more customers than you expected, or you were planning to bring in a whole bunch of customers and you did that and it was a success. What are your guys' successes so far this year? What were the big things that were like, yes, we pulled that off? Again, so my example again would be new customers, but it's important to also measure that. It's like, okay, well, that's a success. Why do I need to work on that? Well, heck, why not always work on successes? Maybe your weaknesses get so small that you can just focus on successes, but we want to focus on those success because we want to understand how to do more. So as in my example, we got a bunch of new customers. Well, it's important to put some data points in place that helps us understand where those new customers came from. Were they through your social media? Were they through blogging? Were they through word of mouth? Were they through going to a different trade show or fair or craft show or whatever the case may be? Figure that out. Really try to understand exactly where those people came from. And then you can do more of that in 2019. So I mentioned social media and some of the digital stuff out there. I wanted to share with you guys quickly a tool that I love for helping me track some of this stuff. We won't go too deep into the pixel data on Facebook, but you need to have that set up. So if you don't, let me know and I'll point you in the right direction on some articles to get that set up. But within your Facebook page, you need to have your pixel data set up. And then you use this tool right here. It's called PixelMe. And if you just go to my website, aaronmontgomery.info/PixelMe, you'll be able to get to it. And what it is a URL shortener. So a lot of times, we have a link that's got all this information. Well, we want to shorten that down. You probably heard of a service like Bitly or Google has their own little shortener. Well, this shortener is awesome because then it also uses your pixel data. So any link that you share on social media or wherever, and somebody goes to that link, that tracks it back into your Facebook ads area, and it gives you an additional data set to help you improve your Facebook ads and things like that. So it's a great tool. I just wanted to share that real quick with you. So if you go to aaronmontgomery.info/pixelme and check that out. All right. So there's our data. I would say start with the worst and the best, and you're going to be way far ahead of where you were last year. You're going to probably be way far ahead than most of your competitors. And then if you got more time, keep going up and down the ladder. What's the next worst thing if you've got a lot? But don't dwell on those things. Let's really look at our successes and understand how to continue doing more of our success as opposed to quitting our failures. And because the failures are just learning opportunities. So let's use as a learning opportunity, but let's also focus on our successes. So there we go. So that's point number one, data. All right, so let's get to point number two. Let me scroll down on my notes so we get to all the key points here. All right, so point number two is budgeting. Yes, no good planning session is going to be fun without breaking out those spreadsheets and budgets. I mean, it's the most fun thing you could ever do. All right, could you feel the sarcasm there? I was trying to be sarcastic because I hate, this is hilarious. My dad was an accountant for 25 years. I grew up within his business. And I think I've mentioned this on these videos or somewhere before, but I hate accounting. I hate spreadsheets and all that other stuff. But they are a very important part of what we do. So putting numbers on a spreadsheet, reviewing them, figuring out what our actuals are. These are all really important things to our planning process. And unfortunately, like I said, they can be a little bit of a downer. If your numbers are a little more red than black, that can be a little bit depressing. But that's not what this is all about, okay? And again, any of the things that we've ever talked about through our business planning or any of those things, we're not trying to pull out all those negatives. We're trying to use the things that we have in front of us to get to the positives. It's okay to fail. In fact, the more you fail, the better off you're going to be. More and more. In fact, Jim brought up Jimmy Lamb earlier. Jimmy always says he's an expert because he's made every failure in the book. I'm able to bring you some things that I've seen work because I made those mistakes first. So let's not look at these things as negatives. Let's look at the positive stuff and use these as tools to improve. So fun or not, we got to do it. When we talked in the business plan section of videos that we did a few months ago, we talked about time budgets as opposed to financial budgets. So we really need to do both. But I think when we start looking at our planning, let's start with that time budget, because no matter how much money you have in your bank account, you still have the same number of hours in the day that your competitors do. Now, maybe you've got a lot of other responsibilities, but you still got to figure out how to divide up that 24 hours in the day, plus get some sleep and take care of yourself and take care of your family. But time is a much more manageable thing than, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed with how much I have to spend on new equipment, how much I have to spend on marketing, all these other things. So use that time budget to get you started and make this planning process a little bit better. And then what we talked about there, Jim, put that time budget together and understand, okay, I have this amount of time. I don't have enough time. I don't feel like I have enough time. Well, what time do you have for your business? Within that time, what are the most important things that I need to be doing? And what things can I cut out? What things do I do that when I really think about it are actually just spinning your wheels? I spend hours and hours and hours tweaking and playing with little silly things that I don't really need to be doing. And therefore I don't get any sleep. So I try to take my time budget and go, okay, Aaron, stop doing that stuff. It may be fun. You may be good at it, but it's not getting you towards your goal. So stop doing those things. Look at those time budgets and review. Once you're done with that, let's break out our financial budgets. Let's fill in the actual spending, the actual income that we brought in, and make sure that stuff's accurate. As we were talking about tools that I use, another tool that I love for this, because instead of me having to build a spreadsheet, type in all these numbers and all this other stuff, I actually use QuickBooks. And if you go to my website again, aaronmontgomery.info/QuickBooks, it'll take you over to a place where you can get a little bit of a discount on QuickBooks. And it makes this process extremely easy. I can put in my budget at the start of the year, and then as long as I've categorized everything correctly, it will actually run a report for me that gives me my actuals. I don't have to do anything. Then I can take that data, I can export it, put it into a spreadsheet, massage it if I want. But really, for the most part, I've got all of my info right there. So I can talk about time savings. I take away all that time of building a spreadsheet, and I've got this report right in front of me, and now I've got my budget, and I can review it and I can plan around it. And this is a time that you really want to put your cards out on the table here, and you really need to figure out some key things about your business. For example, what will it take in additional revenue to hire that needed employee to give you more time? Maybe you're not hiring a full-time employee. Maybe you're using a service like Fiverr or Upworks or one of these virtual assistant services. I use them all the time. They're great. I get projects done that I just don't have time for, and it works out pretty good. And it's not a huge amount of money. So, but how much revenue did I need to bring in to be able to do and afford those things, or how much more do I need to increase my marketing so that way I can bring in the number of new customers that I feel like I need for success? So look at those things, plan around those things. And then another area that we also need to include in this budget and planning is looking at our inventory, the inventory of the goods and supplies that we need to run our business. The key to inventory management and the key to, people call it just-in-time inventory, is that you need to have enough inventory on hand to service your customers within their expectations and be able to allow for some growth. But you don't want to have so much inventory that all your money is tied up in inventory, that you're drowning in it, and that you're going to have stuff that you can't sell because you've got too much. And then you're going to have to start blowing it out and doing sales and cutting into your profitability. So use this planning and budgeting time to also look at your inventory. So for example, and I think I've heard Jim say this before too, so maybe Jim and I need to get together and figure out where to drop these things. But if anybody needs any iPhone 4 cases for sublimation, guess what? We have a lot of them. We overdid it. We went in thinking, okay, here's great. So I've got a shelf full of them. I think Jim's got a few that we can get together and figure out how to dump them somewhere. Maybe we need to figure out how to sell them in China. I think they're still growing with their iPhones and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up at this point. But so that was one fail there. I had too much. That's okay. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world. I mean, they're a couple bucks a piece. So, I hold on to them because I'm a hoarder, but they could probably just go in the trash can and I can write that off. But on the other side of it, I don't want to have too few. I brought in a lot of iPhone 4 cases because at the time, everybody was buying phone cases. You couldn't say the word, yeah, Jim says, I still have a bunch. You couldn't say the word phone case without making money. It was crazy. Everybody wanted a phone case and everybody wanted a personalized phone case and make it as fast as I could. And, that was great. And I wanted to have enough to be able to grow because I didn't know where the ceiling was going to be on that. So I didn't want to, get all these new customers in and then go, well, sorry, I'm out and I can't get any more because the demand's too high. So, let's use another example. Let's say you're selling holiday ornaments. And I'm using this example because I've seen this happen. It happened to some people last year. The 3-inch round ceramic ornaments. Well, people were running out at the end of November, early December. Well, not only were people running out, but the distributors were running out. And the distributors that did have them were like, these things are selling like hotcakes. I'm not going to be able to get enough in before the end of the year to fill all this demand. So I have to control this demand by raising my prices. Well, guess what? All those people that needed the ornaments that didn't plan ahead and didn't have the right planning in place, they were scrambling. I had frantic people looking for these things. And then when we said, well, this is what the price is, they were appalled. It's like, well, it's supply and demand. This is what happens. We need to get our inventory through the end of the year. So anyhow, plan ahead. It's very important that you do these things and you do these things well. Now, as I've mentioned before, this is all it's not about beating ourselves up. This is not ever what we want to be talking about in our business. Business is hard enough without the bad talk and the beating ourselves up because we didn't have the right things and we didn't do this well. And I blew my budget and, I didn't track any data. None of that matters. All that matters is that we're looking ahead. We want to put some tools in place that allows us to overcome our unconscious mind. Our unconscious mind is the part of our brain that leads us to watching those cat videos, or it leads us to buying that shiny new toy that we don't really need. It's just, we just go. That's the way our brain functions. But if you put some of these tools in place, these budgets, these data points, that gives us a mechanism for our conscious brain to take over, because our brain goes, hey, look, this number is a little bit off, or this number is not going exactly where I want it to go. What do I need to do? Well, I probably need to stop watching cat videos, or I probably need to cancel a few of those app subscriptions that I don't really need, so I have a little more money in my budgeting for marketing. This is what it's all about. So planning, in a way, the best way that I can call planning is, it's another cliche, but these cliches happen because they're true. It's about working on your business, not in your business. You're not just doing the day-to-day stuff. We're planning, we're working on the business. And this is going to give you the best chance for success. Yes, passion, drive, the never give up, the being strong, being stronger than your excuses, shiny nickel. Yep, Jim said shiny nickel. Absolutely. That's I'm distracted by shiny objects like comments all the time, and I love it. But back to what I was talking about. So I mentioned on Two Regular Guys, we had Allison Prince on, and she's got passion and she's got drive and she's got that ability to be stronger than any excuses for failure. But she also has a plan. She also has the ability to keep herself within those guide rails, within that ability to keep going forward. So a good plan added on to those qualities makes you even more successful, because then you don't have to suffer through so many pitfalls. Yes, you can have tons of drive, but if you're constantly getting knocked down and having to drag yourself back up, that's going to wear on you after a while. So how about put some planning in place so we don't get knocked down so much? We can take a few hits and move on, no big deal. We don't have to use all of our energy picking ourselves up. We instead use our energy to do more, be better, become greater than you are right now. And you're already amazing. So there we go. That's my planning in a nutshell. Any questions, comments, feedback, please jump in there. Let me know. At the very beginning, I mentioned that I had a tool that can help you with your business planning. So here's that link. Let's put that up there, aaronmontgomery.info/business plan. And this is a video series that I did, like I said, about a month or so ago. And these are free videos. All this stuff is completely free. Watch the videos, do the homework, join the free community. My goals, and you can't see it, it's behind this screen here, but I've got them written on the board behind me. My goals are to be part of other people's success, because to me, that is going to equal success. My goal is to connect. My goal is to help educate. These are my goals. So the best way to do this is to provide these things free. So I'm building this free community around developing a business plan. And I know finding the time to do these things, it's a 5-part video series, about 20 to 30 minutes a piece. But you can do it. You can, and you must do this if you want to be successful. So we're building this BP Beers group community as a way to support each other in doing this, and saying, hey, you must carve out a little time to do this. So like I said, it's a 5-part plus a 6 bonus part. Between now and the end of the year, there are 5 weeks in there. Even if I take out Thanksgiving week and a week for Christmas or Hanukkah, there's still 6 weeks left that you can do this. So it's important to me that you go and look at these videos, complete the homework assignments. When you complete those homework assignments, you just email me right here. I'm putting the email up there, Aaron@montcoconsulting.com. Email me those homework assignments. I'm going to send you what my wife and I did as the homework assignments for those, and I'm going to send you some other information, and it's going to keep leading you on to the prize at the end. And in thinking about this, I was just kind of brainstorming this morning, how do I get more people involved in this? And what better way to get people involved in things than to give away free stuff, right? So here's what I'm going to do. For everybody that has completed all 5 steps of the homework in that business plan series between now and the end of the year, they will get entered into a random drawing, and I am going to give that random winner an Echo Dot. All right, a free Echo, brand new. In fact, I'm going to actually send it from Amazon directly to you. This is mine, but I'm going to send it to you, and you are going to have your own little virtual personal assistant. All right, for free. All you have to do, finish the 5 homework assignments, email me at the email address there, and there we go. All right, so everybody cool, on board with that? Are we going to do that? I'm ready. I'm ready for you. So let's do that. And then the last thing, actually last 2 things. Let's see here. Right up here in this corner, right there, in fact, right where my finger's at, brand new logo. And I just wanted to give a shout out to my friend Sarah Young, who helped me with that and put that together for me. So thank you very much. I'm excited about that. There's actually over here, there's my old logo. It was okay. Rich, yes, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And again, just hit me up along the way. You've got my email address there. So let's do it. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Last thing, and then I'll let you get out of here because we're in bonus time already. I went over my 30-minute allotment. I want you to, oops, where'd it go? There you are. Let's show it. All right. I'm sending out my monthly newsletter this next week. So make sure that you're signed up for that. Just aaronmontgomery.info/getconnected. And that's it. Is that everything? Anything we missed here today, guys? Loved it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you're as pumped up as I am about what's going to happen in 2019. And you're going to have an awesome 2018 on top of that. Let's keep doing this together, guys. Trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about next week. If you guys have any suggestion or whatever, email me or hit me up on Facebook, whatever is easiest for you. Give me an example of something you'd like me to talk about, to learn about, so we can communicate about it together, and we will make that happen. I'm thinking about talking about sales funnels next week, but sales and marketing funnels, excuse me. And that's something that I want to explore a little bit more. But if you guys have suggestions, always open to it. All right, guys? Have a great Saturday. Talk to you later.